All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Sorry about starting about 3 seconds late. Trying to listen to Jerome Powell here and figure out what else he can do to prop up this this market. The Powell put that was dead is now obviously alive and well. We're going to talk about that today. But welcome aboard. I see that there's a lot of new folks joining us from Hubert Centers, one of our strategic partners, sent out a couple emails. They said, hey, Wiz, you guys have been doing some good work predicting what's going on and what's going to be happening in the market. So want some of my folks to come check out what you do. So welcome aboard to all the folks who are joining us that aren't regular TGO members. We're going to see a lot of volatility in 2019. It's just welcome to the new normal. I know Jerome Powell's going to do his best to soothe and assuage things, but we're looking. This could be the big one this year. I've always said here at Top Gun Options that the big one's going to happen when people lose faith in the Federal Reserve. Well, I got to be honest with you, or the government for that matter, right? Barack Hussein Obama, the financial crisis of 2008, 2009, and jumping in to save capitalism just was a bad thing. Ben Bernanke pumping $85 billion with quantitative easing into the market was a bad thing. Markets were led to believe it, kind of like the Pope coming out and saying, hey, hell doesn't exist and people just run around and party. Well, guess what? It does exist, and it's time to pay the piper. For the new folks, and some of our current members who are relatively new, this is kind of the acronym that we're using in 2019. Going forward, it was going to be IROC, and then I threw the F in there. I guess I could rearrange those letters a little bit, but here's where we're going to be targeting, and obviously based on the guy who's on the screen right now, the Fed. Biggest issue in 2019, one of the biggest issues in that acronym is going to be the Fed. A couple, 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, it's, hey, is this guy going to get fired? Is Donald Trump going to fire Jerome Powell? His new chief of staff essentially had to come out and say, no, his job's secure. But you guys know Donald Trump as well as I do. The guy could love you one day, and the next day, you're out on your ass, so to speak. So yes, some job security for Jerome Powell, but for how long, right? So I came up with this acronym about a month ago, and I put this out to my current members. I had no put. And the reason I said there was no Powell put was because of what happened in October. So take a look at this. Here's where Jerome Powell comes out right here and says, yeah, we're not even close to neutral. We got to step on the, we got to pump the brakes here, man. We're going to start raising interest rates at least 2 times next year. And then what happens? The market went absolute freak mode. That's when I said, hey, man, looks like this guy, Jerome Powell is the right Fed chief at the wrong time, right? Donald Trump was semi-right to criticize him by saying, hey, man, not only should you not be raising interest rates right now, you shouldn't be unloading that $5 trillion balance sheet. So it's interesting. In the time that I originally briefed you all on this acronym, I put this in this afternoon. Apparently, the market does think there is a Powell put in this market. So what are we looking for from the Fed in 2019? Interest rate increases? Maybe. The market, there's a lot of market participants that are actually trying to do what? Drive the Fed into making some cuts. I'm going to give you a brief in a couple minutes. These are just some intro slides. We're going to get it live into the market and take a look strategically, operational, tactically what's going on, and then maybe take a look at some trades. But there's actually people out there trying to say, hey, the Fed should be cutting interest rates. So it's going to be an absolute clown car going forward, and they're not going to – I haven't seen any statement that says they're going to stop with their QT. Remember, quantitative easing was pumping money into the market. Now they have this massive $5 trillion balance sheet. They're going to have to start unwinding that. So that's the F in FIROC. The I, folks, that hasn't even been factored into the markets yet is Donald Trump will be impeached, period. I mean, the first day in office, the Muslim congresswoman from Michigan says we're going to go impeach the MFer. And Democrats were aghast at what she said. No, using the MFer, not the impeachment part. So they will move to impeach this man. How do you think markets, our equity markets, are going to take that? He's not going to be convicted in the Senate, obviously. It's just good. So now you see Nancy and Chuck. What a nightmare the other night. They look like Boris and Natasha. I'm not even going to get into the wall, the border security, any of that type of stuff. Well, exactly. Somebody just said, for what? That's the point. Somebody tell me, you can't impeach somebody just because you don't like them. So, but what I'm getting at is this is going to be markets don't like this. Markets like certainty. But there's going to be unlimited investigations. What's her name? AOC, the brain trust from New York, saying we have power to subpoena now, and you better get ready. And oh man, here we go. So the next 2 years is going to be an absolute shit show, and it's going to be gridlock. We can't even agree on securing our southern border, for Christ's sake. It's awful. Impeachment will happen. They will impeach Donald J. Trump. Period. That's not going to be good for the markets. We're getting very, very close in this economy to a little bit of a slowdown, right? I don't think it's necessarily going to be a super recession. I'm saying there's one potential on the horizon. We're seeing a global slowdown. Yes, it's mainly trade war related, but also central banks. What an absolute clown car central banks have been. Remember Mario Draghi in, what was it, it was like 2013, his famous quote, "I will do whatever it takes to save the EU," meaning I will print money out of the back of my Renault car until the cows come home. So central banks got involved in capitalism, and now they're trying not to get involved in capitalism. We're seeing a global slowdown, okay? So that's the R, and then O is oil. No matter how many well-coiffed men or women in good clothes and hair and everything on CNBC tell you that low oil prices are good for the economy, I'm telling you, low oil prices are not good for the economy. I've done consulting. I've been in the middle of Midland, or 100 miles west of Midland, Texas type of thing. I've done consulting in the oil industry. It's one of the few six-figure jobs in this country you can get with just a high school degree. Man, working out on a rig or a roughneck. When oil goes down and Schlumberger or NOV or whoever picks up the phone and says, "Hey, all 15,000 of you guys are furloughed," what that little $7 you just saved, filling up your family truckster ain't really going to do anything to the economy. Okay. But all of these people, Exxon picking up the phone and going, "Hey, shipbuilder, that clause on page 92 that says we can out if, things aren't going oil. Yeah, we don't need that ship for now. Send all 5,000 of those people home." And the word that the media haven't said in ages is what? Iran. Look at what Donald Trump did with North Korea. A year and a half ago, he said, "I will rain fire and fury down. I will vaporize 25 million North Koreans." Liberals, Democrats, "Oh my God, he's going to get us all killed." A year later, Singapore shaking hands. "Oh my God, he's going to get us." Wait a minute, he's shaking hands with the dictator. So that dude isn't an idiot. He wants to live. He does want a hotel on the beach in North. Iran doesn't care. They want to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, and they want to take us with them. We, in the next year, 2019, the chicken is going to come home to roost with Iran. Okay, so oil is going to be a lot of volatility in oil. And finally, in FIROC, the C is obviously China. We're in the middle of a trade war here, folks, and we're going to talk about who's going to blink first. But the Chinese ain't stupid. They're in this thing for 1,000 years, right? And if you're sitting, I don't know how many people tell me like, "Oh, they're going to blink for." Wilbur Ross, our Commerce Secretary, Mr. Magoo, the other day. We might be getting a little bloodied, but China's getting really bloodied. Do you think they care? Social unrest. Last time there was social unrest in China, somebody Google Tiananmen Square and tell me how it worked out for them. The Chinese Communist Party could give a shit that their economy is going into the tank. And they see a dude who's going to be impeached. Do you think they want to negotiate with a guy who they don't even think is going to make it to the end of 2019? I'm going to brief this in a couple minutes when we get off these stupid PowerPoint slides and get into the market, and I'll show you this intel where I just don't. They're acting right now. So, all right, guys. Let me get past that. We don't need that. If you're new to TGO, and I see a lot of new names in here, I'm Matthew Buckley. My call sign's Wiz. Flew the Hornet, 15 years, Navy, Top Gun grad, adversary pilot. Got to do some cool things when I was on active duty in the Navy, flew 44 combat sorties over Iraq. I taught myself how to trade equity options back when I was a young lieutenant junior grade. in beautiful Lemoore, California. Always was interested in service above self, serving my country, but also you don't join the Navy or the military to become rich. You do it to serve your country. But taught myself how to trade stocks and equity options, and I applied everything I was learning flying a fighter aircraft. Being disciplined, managing risk, having an exit plan, having a strategy, tactics, implementing them, knowing when to get out of a bad or good situation before it got any worse, right? And it worked incredibly well. So applied all that stuff to my trading. Short story long, I popped up on the radar of one of the largest volatility arbitrage firms in the world, headquartered right there. Those big, beautiful windows. That was our trade floor in the Chicago Board of Trade. Had absolute time of my life, man. Helped start a hedge fund, helped build the retail brokerage Options House, and I was the founder and CEO of the Options News Network, ONN.TV, and I did feel like Valentine in Trading Places, man. I was this little old retail trader who jumped the fence, and I got to be honest with you, once I get behind the fence, those people put their pants on the same way I do, and if they're grabbing me because they think I'm some sort of brilliant guy, you know people ain't that smart. So that's me in my younger days. Managing director for a $2.5 billion vol arb firm. I was the founder and CEO of the Options News Network, and I hosted a bunch of the shows on and I took the Options News Network from essentially me to 80,000 folks in 1 year. It's pretty cool ride. I currently live down here in South Florida. That's my squadron right there. My oldest boy is a freshman at Norwich University, wants to fly for the Marine Corps. My middle son Jack wants to fly for the Navy. Keely isn't allowed to leave the house until I'm dead, and then that's Susie. So that's my squadron. All right. That's me. That's the acronym. Now, for everybody who is new to Top Gun Options, this is the flow of our brief. Actually, let me just show you that real quick. It's called SOT. So we're about to get into a regular live trading session with our members. The average person in this room that is not a TGO member, you're very tactical. I'm still getting I get texts from folks, I'm trying to break them of this tactical mindset. Hey, was the market's up 80 points? Oh, it's fading. There are people paying more attention to this market than I am, and I do this for a living. Very, very tactical. Yeah, hell, you don't even know what you're doing for dinner, let alone what you want to invest out a couple years. This is not how we do it. This is how we're going to trade today. I'm going to treat you like you're an admiral or a general. Sit there with a cigar in your mouth and listen to this young lieutenant give you a brief, a strategic brief. What's going on around the globe? Economically, politically, militarily. As I briefed to my TGO members this week and last week, a Chinese admiral said, hey, man, we own 600 miles off the coast of China. That's our new country. And, oh, by the way, we're taking Taiwan back. And if you get in our way, we're going to sink 2 of your aircraft carriers and kill 10,000 of your sailors. That's a Chinese admiral, folks. Okay, you really need to know what's going on around the world. Does anybody think that just because the cameras aren't on Iran right now, they stopped building a nuke or a nuclear weapon or have stopped wanting to kill all of us? Remember, one of the wisdoms you're going to learn here at TGO is the market only cares when it cares. Now, I know that sounds blindingly brilliant and stupid, but it's the truth, right? The market only cares when it cares. So it's so true. So then, after about a 15-minute strategic brief, I'm going to give you an operational brief. We're going to go one layer deep, and we're going to talk about what's going on here in the United States. Government shutdown. What are earnings looking like? What's Jay Powell saying over my shoulder here? The politics, the economy, you name it, right? And then, and only then, can we get tactical, right? That's when we can trade. This is the flow, folks. This is how you do it. All right? So let's go ahead and get to work. And we're gonna move here because I don't want to keep everybody. I don't want to go too long. Love staying on timelines. Strategic brief. U.S.-China trade fight shakes global economy, but it isn't all bad for bystanders. So yeah, we're seeing this kind of global slowdown here, and but our pick. It used to be what I call a Captain Kirk trade. We were boldly going where nobody was going, and now everybody's going right there. Our awesome freaking overseas trade is what? Brazil. Brazil is the best stock market in the world right now. Why? One word, Trump. Well, actually, it's pronounced Bolsonaro, right? Bolsonaro. We got in, this is called the EWZ, Echo Whiskey Zulu, the iShares Brazil ETF. Right here was the runoff election. And I said, the dude is, they're calling him the Trump of the tropics, right? Look at this. A 34% gain since I said to get, I've been trading EWZ here at Top Gun Options for what, 5-6 years. World Cup, Olympics, the Trump of the tropics. This is an absolute yes. And when you become a member here, I'm going to, your call on Brazil was right. Good stuff. You bet, Ed. We nailed it. And we're going to keep nailing it. This guy, Bolsonaro, look at this. The other day was his inauguration, man. He made Trump's inauguration speech look stupid. This guy's phenomenal. If you have a gun and you're walking around one of our favelas, we're going to kill you. He's like, unless you're a cop or a soldier, we're going to shoot you dead in the street. We're going after corrupt politicians. I'm going to reform our economy. We're going to open this up. This dude's awesome. Okay. So here's what's really cool about options trading, folks. We are long-term bullish. We hopped in our time machine, our F-18, and went really fast. And we went all the way out here to Jan 21, and we put on a position called synthetic stock, which is printing money right now. But check out what we're also doing. We every Monday at 1 o'clock, we trade what are called weekly options, right? We have a weekly options brief. So I'm long-term bullish on Brazil, but what happened after this election here? I'm like, man, this pop's going to run out of airspeed. I think short term, it's going to give a little bit back. Long term, it goes higher. Long term, we have a trade on for it. Short term, what do? Let's take a look. Short term, Monday afternoon, we put on a weekly options trade. Weekly options, as the name implies, is just that, right? The 42 and a half bear call spread. This thing is starting to come in, 42 and a half, and I fully expect by tomorrow that this thing gives some of this back. And the market's already selling off here on what Mr. Powell is saying. I'm going to get to what Mr. Powell is saying and stuff like that. But if by tomorrow at the closing bell, we are below 42, and this thing's already starting to go into a nosedive. Look at this. It's already imploding. We can potentially make, you ready for this? Let me show you this trade. So we did this Monday afternoon, right? The 42, we sold the 42 calls and bought the 42 and a half at 17 cents. And you ready for this? Risking about $5,300. You see this where it says max potential loss? Well, Wiz, why are you talking about that first? Because as an aviator, as an options trader, the first thing we always look at is what is my max potential loss? At Top Gun Options, we have $100,000 notional model portfolios, and I have what's called an SOP, Standard Operating Procedure. I don't want to risk more than 5% on any one trade. Do the math. All my political science majors in the room. It's about $5,000, right? So it's a little north of that, but I'm the pilot in command of my portfolio. I'm okay with that. Now I can look up here and say, all right, I'm risking 53 to potentially make 27. Very, very good looking trade. And to my members who remember on Monday, I gave you a good brief. I said, hey man, treat a weekly option, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, as a monthly option. What the hell does that mean, Wiz? Look at this month. 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week, 5 week, right? There's 5 weeks in this month. There's 5 days in a week. I treat Monday as, no kidding, a week. I mentally think of it as a week in a monthly option. Tuesdays and second week, Thursday. So right now we're technically in the fourth week as a weekly. What do I mean by that? So when was it? Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, this thing like popped a little higher. And I got a couple nervous emails or people like, hey, well, what are you doing with this trade? I'm like, I'm not doing anything with this trade. It's Wednesday. In the world of weekly options, in the time frame of weekly options, between now and tomorrow is a world of time. Okay? So that's the discipline you have to have. A lot of you, to say something tongue-in-cheek, prematurely eject. Right? The reason I got in this trade was I believed it was overbought and it was going to give a lot of it back by Friday. And even as I talk, it's given more back. Okay. So, Wednesday, a little bit of a pop. And I really don't see in this type of market, things catching a bid on a Friday. Very rarely are we seeing massive rallies or people jumping in to buy. We're also going to talk operationally about a little bit about this thing is just getting long in the tooth, and we're going to give some of it back. Okay, so that's Brazil. Really love what we're doing with our EWZ trades. Again, I will teach you when you become a TGO member how to put on a long-term bullish trade on Brazil, and then how we can, what we call trade the front months. The hell is the front months, man? You're sitting in it. We can January, February. So these are the front months. So we can be long-term bullish. You know what, Wiz, you're right. Let's say this dude Bolsonaro has a market like Trump did for the first year and a half of his presidency. It's going to be a rip your face off rally. I live down here in South Florida, have a lot of Brazilian friends. I have a lot of buddies that trade the Bovespa. That's exactly what they're believing. So we can be long-term bullish and short-term neutral, bearish, bullish, right? So we make money in a bunch of different ways on trades like this. And I love, great article in Forbes. Brazil is the best stock market in the world right now. We nailed it. Okay, China. It's so funny that people are reading so much into this right now that, oh yeah, day 3 and everything's going great. Not to slight whoever this guy is. I don't know who he is. He's the deputy U.S. trade rep. This meeting was a meeting to talk about future meetings. Let me say that again slowly. This was a meeting, and there was like 8 people there, 8 different departments represented from the United States. This thing ain't going to be easy, folks. This isn't President Xi and Trump, saying, hey, we got a trade deal, and walk out of the room and the market goes up 1,000 points. There are a ton of issues. Now, and I will say this again. I'm telling you, and this Chinese admiral 2 weeks ago said this when he said, you know what, Americans hate losses, so why don't we kill 10,000 of their sailors on a couple aircraft carriers? We have these new hypersonic missiles. He actually mentioned the trade war, folks. He said, trade war is just whatever. That we could care less. We're talking about our strategic imperative of being more or less a superpower on this planet and in the Pacific. I'm telling you, these trade people are sitting there with just a smile on their face like, yeah, we'll throw you a couple bones every once in a while, maybe buy 10 more soybeans or 3 more cars. Guys, this is not, you got to keep an eye on what's really going on here. Okay? Under Barack Hussein Obama, China put a bunch of dirt on some ships, sailed out into the middle of the Pacific in the Spratlys and the Paracel Islands, and it was low tide, threw the dirt on a bunch of atolls, made them runways, put some surface-to-air missile batteries and some fighter jets there and said, yeah, this is now new China. So, yay for trade, and then we're going to get into a war. So let's keep an eye on everything. All right, let's get operational. Stock market comeback faces big test with earnings season starting next week. What happened this morning, man? Macy's, swing and a miss. Strong economy can't save Macy's from retail shifts. Here is what's going to give this rally a check. First of all, this implosion right here and this explosion right here were based on 3 letters: Jerome Powell and the Fed. Yeah, we need to we need to pump the brakes here and raise interest rates. This economy's way overheating. Holy crap, the market imploded. We're going to be data dependent. Yay, market. Let me show you what Bill Blaine, he put in his letter the other day. Bill Blaine, really smart investor. This relief rally feels desperate and too reliant on the Fed. Right? So, Chris, I couldn't agree more. I mean, China doesn't care. People are like, come on, Wiz, their economy's getting hit in this trade war. I'm like, they have internment camps for Muslims right now. They're persecuting Christians. You're going to tell me that somebody's really upset that they can't buy an iPhone? They're going to go to Tiananmen Square and protest? They're going to go in front of their White House and say, throw President Xi out? They'll get shot, folks. So you can't win in a trade war when one country says we don't care, right? But yeah, very good point. But anyway, guys, here's what's going to happen. Was it 3 weeks? Before Christmas, right around here, a gentleman, former Marine by the name of Fred Smith, who runs this little small company called FedEx, did what? Had an earnings call where he said, economy's starting to suck. China sucks. We suck. were offering early retirements. I've never in the history of FedEx heard as bad an earnings report. Whatever. 2 weeks ago, or actually no, it was last week, Tim Cook, Apple. Yeah, things ain't going, yeah, we're not looking too good. His stock absolutely imploded. Now, of course, what did he say yesterday? He got back on TV and said, oh, everything's fine. I'll get to Apple here in a little bit. But he went from a week ago saying, yeah, this ain't looking so good for Apple, saw his stock implode, and then got on TV yesterday with Jim Cramer, cheerleader, and more or less fixed it. Comical. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. But here's the deal, folks. Earnings season's coming up. Now, let's use our thinking brains. What happened right here last time we reported earnings? JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan said what? We are printing money. This has been the best earnings we've ever seen. Never even said the word China. Target. We have a position on CSX, a railroad. The CSX CEO said, I could not be more bullish. The guy was like jumping through the TV screen. Target. The CEO of Target's like, I've been in retail I was born a baby in Target. I've never seen it. What happened when we reported God incredible earnings? So let me get this straight. And last time, only 25% of companies reporting last time that had bad earnings mentioned the word China. Like, a little uncertainty. Their forward guidance mentioned China. What do you think is going to happen here, guys? So if they reported blistering earnings and never mentioned the word China, and we went down, what if they report kind of okay earnings and their forward guidance is, yeah, we need the trade war is really starting to take the toll? Anybody in this room think that this is going to happen with that type of earnings? So it's interesting because, I've gotten emails from people and some new members who are like, oh, this is it. The bottom's in there. I'm like, do you know that earnings are coming up? If you don't know that earnings are coming up, you're a very tactical trader, right? So pick your head up above the trenches, man. And here as an options trader and at Top Gun Options, I'm going to teach you one of the main instruments that you have to look at is this, the VIX, volatility. Look at this headline from 2 days ago. Volatility signal flashes red even as stocks rebound. Let me explain. Let me put this in political science major talk. Navy aviator, poli-sci major. The VIX. Let's take a look at the VIX. The front month futures contracts on the VIX, folks, is a hell of a lot more expensive than contracts dated further out. That's backwards, isn't it? What's that term called? Backwardation. Let me say that to you again. The VIX front month futures are a hell of a lot more expensive than ones down the road. Usually, the ones down the road are more expensive, right? We don't know what the hell's going to happen down the road. No, this time, because we're undergoing backwardation, the options market is pricing in a hell of a lot of volatility going forward. Let me brief you on this. We're almost at 70 days right here. This type of relationship, known as backwardation, has lasted this article's 3 days old, for 70 days. When's the last time we've seen backwardation this bad? You ready for this? The 75-day period from September to December when? Of 2008, during the depths of the financial crisis, guys. I was sitting in the board of trade when this happened. I remember talking about I'm like, this is the first time in my career first of all, I was in the heart of the options capital. I'm like, holy crap. So folks, if you're sitting here whistling, everything's fine and dandy, you're not looking at all the instruments you're supposed to be looking at. Right? So it's called backwardation, right? It is unusual for near-dated VIX futures to jump above those expiring later, right? Because what? Investors tend to account for greater uncertainty down the road. But right now, with backwardation, the VIX is saying, and for all the potential new folks, what have I said the market's going to do? Cut this picture right here and drop it right here. Okay. I think this is way overbought right here. Tuesday's brief? We got hedges on with SDS and also got long volatility. We have earnings coming up next week, guys. 25% last time mentioned. China and kind of forward guidance is a little gray. Do you think it's going to be less than that? Or maybe this time a hell of a lot more? Very, very tactical market. All the market cares about today is what? What Jerome Powell's saying right now. So to all of you cheering the Fed's sudden pivot on rate hikes, be careful what you wish for. You ready for this? Federal Reserve easing cycles have often prelude to bad economic news. You ready for this? The times that first of all, the history of the Federal Reserve. Who was it? Not Sam. Who the hell founded the Federal Reserve? I should know this. They have never engineered what is called a soft landing. Right? So you ready for this? Worries that the Fed might make a policy mistake and tighten too much were heightened in early October. Yep. And then the market imploded. Donald Trump shit all over them. And then they got very, very dovish. You ready? Listen to this. In recent days, Powell's done what? And his colleagues, sorry about that. In recent days, he's gone from, hey, we're going to raise next year to we're going to be data dependent. With talk that policymakers will be patient. He said it again before I jumped on the air. They're going to be patient. That kind of talk, though, often comes when? Before an economic downturn. Danny, you just asked when's the next recession. I'm getting to it. Good, very good question. If we are indeed nearing the point where the Fed stops tightening, should this offer investors confidence that equity bear markets can be avoided? Nope. Whoa, Wiz, you're saying the exact opposite of a lot of people that on cheerleaders on CNBC. You ready? Because men lie, numbers don't. Traditionally, the yield curve steepens as the Fed eases immediately prior to what? There's your answer, Dano. A recession. They are stuck in what we call it's a fighter pilot term. They're stuck in lag, man. The Fed is late. So riddle me this, Batman. If they're going to be patient and the economic data are really good, they're going to raise rates. If they're not going to raise interest rates, what's that mean? The data ain't good, and we might actually have overshot. And Harry, it's a good point. Guess what? When do you know you're in a recession? About 8 months after you're in it. Remember, who's it? BLS or Commerce? I forget. BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics, Commerce, whoever. How many folks? Economists, they don't wake up and go, "Hey guys, at 8 a.m. this morning we entered the recession." It is rearward-looking data. So I'm telling you, man, I'm like old Red sitting on my porch in Kansas when my knees start aching. A tornado's coming. I think the Fed missed. Don't even get me started with the Fed. They shouldn't have gotten involved in capital. They shouldn't have done 80,000 things. They already did, and it's too late. We have what we have. So Apple CEO Tim Cook gets in an interview last week, kind of to pre-warn everybody that things are sucking at Apple. His stock implodes 10% over 2 days, right? And then what's he do? He gets on TV yesterday and says the opposite of everything he said a week ago. China isn't Apple's only problem. iPhone sales are absolutely collapsing. The same day, so yesterday, him and Jim Cramer have their pom-poms out and they're cheerleading at Cupertino headquarters. The same day he's doing that, they slashed their iPhone production for the second time in 2 months. I'm not even going to get into all the bad news for Apple. A year ago, I told you, I was trading Apple since it was an acorn. A year ago, I said, get out. I said, get out of every FANG except Amazon. That's the only one that's going to live, period. And we were right. We nailed it. Told you to get out of Facebook. This dude is, this is my new favorite picture. This guy is awful. Great entrepreneur, horrible CEO. Anybody seen him lately? Nope. Anybody seen Sheryl Sandberg, the COO, lately? Nope. What is worse than Facebook? I showed you that Wall Street Journal op-ed that literally said that. What is worse than Facebook. Let's take a look at how Facebook's doing. We have a bear call spread in Facebook. We took a look at another one yesterday. Right at this 50-day, let's just take a look at the 1-year chart. There's the earnings. Everybody remember that earnings? Even Jim Cramer's like, somebody should go to jail. The fact that they didn't pre-warn that earnings were that bad is criminal. I could not agree with that guy anymore. Right? So, we talked about this yesterday in accelerated retirement. Put it on a bear call spread here, right as this. I said it was going to hit this 50-day moving average. It ain't going to keep climbing in earnings, folks. Period. We are overbought at this moment, right? So let's just take a look at the chart of the S&P 500 right here. We are overbought. We are going to get markets don't do this, guys. This one right here, this rip your face off rally was based on what? Jerome Powell speaking on a Friday, saying very, very dovish things. That same Friday, we had a north of $300,000 jobs print. So let me get this straight. If they're going to be data dependent and they're going to raise rates if the economy's strong, when's the last time anybody in this room saw a 300,000 jobs print? Okay. So this right here was a short squeeze, guys. And this is running out of airspeed. This is a mom and pop rally. This is not institutional. I do a couple institutional calls a day with dudes that are swinging around some pretty big baseball bats at Capitol. They are not in this thing yet. Right? So, this is, I know of nobody who's put new money to work here. Here's a lot and here's what's funny. I say that, I think we're going to pull back a little bit here and at least retest, probably around that 2,500 point right here. I love when people go, well, everybody's saying that, so it's a contrarian. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I think that works like 10% of our life, right? So it's, I think we give some back here. 2-year, only 16 below 10-year. Now, Tom, I think we had it, man. I was one of the few guys in the financial world that predicted not only would Trump win, the market would rally. Hell, Citigroup said Hillary wins, and then if Trump wins, the economy and the stock market implode, and it's the end of America. Wrong. But I think that 2016, 2017 rip your face off rally was we got the tax cuts, corporate and personal. We got gutted financial regulation. We got gutted. Trump came in and, really took the handcuffs and undid a lot of what Barack Obama is doing. Harry, I saw Vinnick. Did everybody see what my spirit animal had to say? Jeffrey Gunlock. What did Jeffrey Gunlock have to say? Harry, for every Jeff Vinnick, I can show you a Jeffrey Gunlock that says the exact opposite of what that dude's saying. So what does that tell us, Harry? If the Vinnick guy was on CNBC today saying you got to Google Gunlock's what is it, Just Markets? He gives every January, Jeffrey Gunlock gives a Just Market speech or whatever, podcast or something like that. Everybody has got to watch that. You've got to see what he's saying there, Harry. All right. So, all right, now let's get into the debrief here. Well, exactly, Harry. So that's what I'm getting at, Harry, is in this big white space to the right side of the chart is what? A big freaking question mark. Right? I'm going to tell you markets don't do this and hey, we're going to get back to where we were. That is not going to happen. I just gave you, with all those acronyms, with that FIROC, when Maxine Waters, or Adam Schiff or whoever moves to impeach the president, exactly, Ginny. Yeah, Dennis Gartman, went long yesterday, which means, the market's going to implode tomorrow. So, and it is, Brad. There's a lot of market cheerleaders. CNBC loves being a market cheerleader. This is why you come to TGOs. So I'm going to give you the truth and what's underlying this thing, right? So, all right. So we covered the EWZ trade. This is, somebody asked me, I'll repeat myself. This is a yes. I would put on a Jan 21 synthetic stock position when you become a member. I can show you how to do that. We have 8 training videos on and all this stuff. And plus we do it live. And like I said, the EWZ is coming in nicely. I think we fill this gap right here and head down. To be honest with you, we could almost leg into kind of a weekly iron condor, so to speak. If you wanted to take, there's probably not too much premium. The 42, 41 and a half. I don't think it's going to super implode. What do we got? 160 contracts. We could do this. This is sporty, but we just take a look at these metrics. It's probably risking about $6,000 you know what? So let's do this for the weekly options, folks. This is our existing trade, right? The 42, 42 and a half. This almost becomes a butterfly, right? Thinking it's going to pin right around 42, right? So you could potentially take a look at putting on this bull put spread, and it turns it essentially into a butterfly, thinking that we're going to pin this, that EWZ is going to pin right at 42. And if it doesn't, at least we can potentially make, if it stays above 42, we can make some $1,400, which might take the sting out of this existing bear call spread. Does that make sense? So let's take a look at this. So I like this. So I'm going to put on a weekly, a bull put spread for tomorrow on EWZ. And before anybody asks, this is not a good standalone trade. I would only do this with with the bear call spread, but I'll explain that more in a little bit here. Okay, so I'd look to sell 160. Why 160? Give me 2 minutes of tomorrow 42 puts. Where's the 42? Right around where we topped out, right? 42 is right there. Resistance, resistance, resistance. And then we pop through it. It should come down and be support. So I think we're going to get, and as I'm talking, this thing's, we're getting our mid-afternoon sell-off here, which is nice. So let's do this one. I like this. Sell 160 of tomorrow's 42 puts. That's me saying, hey, by tomorrow's close, Brazil, EWZ, you're going to be above 42. Wiz, what if you're wrong, man? You were initially right that this thing is going to sell off hard into the close on Friday. Well, we're going to be long these puts. Below 41.5, we're long, so the thing can go to zero and our losses are stopped out. So I'm bullish on the EWZ, at least through tomorrow. I'm using puts, and it's a spread. This tactic is called a bull put spread. Now, if you see on your screen, it also is a credit spread. We are taking in a credit of 9 cents to do it. So it looks like we're bringing in about $1,600 between now and tomorrow. Let me grab a screenshot of this so I can send this out to my members. Okay. So, and I would only try and get filled on this trade plus or minus a penny. I'd probably go down to 9 and wouldn't go above 11. So there you go. So let's try and get 10 cents here, folks. So let's try and get 10 cents. The lowest I'd go is 9, and the highest I would go is 11. Anything outside of that, the risk to reward is either too high or too low, to be honest with you. All right, now let's take a look at the metrics. So I'm going to teach you something here at Top Gun that you should do no matter if you become a member or not. When I click on this snapshot analysis tool, the only place I want you to look is where it says max potential loss. You ready? 3, 2, 1, max potential loss. $6,400. Whoa, Wiz. I thought your SOP was you don't want to risk more than $5,000 on any one trade. I'm not. We have a bear call spread on that is going to, let me do the magic here. Let me finish here. Check this out. This spread is risking $5,300. This spread is risking $6,400, right? Well, both of them together, let's do the math real quick. That's more than $12,000 in risk. It isn't. It's physically impossible for us to lose on both of these spreads. What the tactic I'm about to do is called an iron condor. Okay. Let me grab a screenshot of the analytics, because what I do is I send out an email. You guys can watch me send out an email to my members. So even if you can't make it to one of our live trade briefs, you're going to get a text alert and you're going to get a screenshot of the trade. Then obviously after the webinar is over with, I send out. It takes about, I don't know, 30 minutes to render this recording and to upload it on the member page. So here's what I'm going to do. So non-members, you guys can actually see the process of me sending out an alert live. So you don't have to, you could be sitting at work. Hey, Wiz, every Thursday at work at 1 o'clock. 85% of our members work here at TGO. So this is going to be going out to the weekly options folks, because it's a weekly options trade. So let's do that. Where are we? Weekly options, PLTB, weekly options. Send SMS and email. Here we go. We do send international text. I think we have 39 countries. New EWZ bull put spread legging into iron condor. Now I'm going to paste the trade in here from the order ticket. So what they say, 10 cents plus or minus about a penny. Let me get rid of this. It's a Jan 11 expiry. It's tomorrow. So I'd sell the 42 puts and I'd buy the 41.5 puts, like I said, at about 10 cents. Let me go back out to here. It's 160 contracts. Oops, spelled contracts wrong. All right, let me just review this, and then I'll blast this out via text to all my members. Yep, that's good. That's good. Okay, so we're legging into a weekly options iron condor with EWZ. It's essentially a butterfly, though, and I don't want to cause people's heads to go sideways, but all right, let me do this. So not only do I send out a text alert in case you're not here, or even if you are here and you didn't write it down or take a little screenshot of it as I was doing it, here's what we're going to do. You're going to get an email too. New EWZ bull put spread. So we're going to have to manage these kind of together. So this is the alert that I sent out Monday. Now I'm going to change it to a bull put spread. Paste. Let me put in the images here. So let me grab an image. And I'm getting a lot faster at this, man. This is our new text alert system, and it takes a little while to get this all, but we'll do it. EWZ, put the image in there. So this is cool. Not only do you get an email, if you're not here, you get your text alert. So let me put in the metrics. Delete. Down here. Browse right on the desktop. EWZ. Make this image a little bigger, and there we go. All right, so put in the images. And then we go back to SMS broadcast. I publish it, and then I'm going to blast it out. Then if we have time, I'm going to take a look at one more trade, and we'll answer some questions. And then I'll tell folks how they can potentially join us. Hey, don't remember, on Saturday, we're doing a full day of five of us. I got 5 of my buddies coming to do this. 2 campaigns, great logo, contacts. That's going out to weekly options, folks. Gotta click everybody. Actions, apply, remove a tag. Where's my weekly options, folks? Where are we? Weekly options. Where are we? SMS weekly option. There we go. Perfect. Save, and then process. All right, there we go. Fired out the text, fired out the email. My cell phone just buzzed, which means I just got my text alert. Okay, good. All right, so that's a good-looking trade on it. And look, it's already down here at 8 cents, which is awesome. So that trade's already making a little bit of money here. So we got about 11 minutes left. Somebody asked earlier about Amazon, or actually a couple questions. FXI, still bearish on FXI. I said, hey, man, we're probably going to get up to this 50-day moving average in the middle of this Keltner channel. We did, and now we're kind of running out of airspeed and altitude. I think we're going to give some of this back. Remember, and they're supposed to be issuing a statement today, right? That, you know, wait, hold it. The lower headline is very interesting. So the economic data do not point to a slowdown. So, folks, if Jerome Powell is just saying that the economy is not slowing down, what do you think he's going to do? There's been a couple smart folks like me. I am going to say I'm a smart folk like this because the guy really didn't change that much from what he said up here to here. Saying that you're going to be data dependent, did everybody just hear what the guy said? Exactly. He's going to raise rates, guys. So I think we're going to head down. When people, it's funny, 90% of the time, the initial reaction from what the Fed just said is wrong. Okay? So if you're a smart, the algos, they literally, guys, I helped build or I oversaw a division that did crap like this, that computers read and listen to this stuff and make trades. It's phenomenal. You wouldn't believe the technology that's out there. But what I'm getting at is the way I take that as a smart human being is, hey, man, the economy's hitting on all cylinders, and we're going to be – all he said instead of, hey, we're going to raise twice next year is, you know what, we're going to be data dependent. The dude just said in an interview, the economy's looking freaking strong. I know I'm a political science major and a knuckle-dragging fighter pilot. What's that mean? He's going to raise rates, folks. So I think when the market wakes up to this – today, tomorrow, we're going to see a little bit of a give back here. Greg, Mr. Buckley, won't rates continue to rise as long as the Fed keep reducing the balance sheet? Exactly. Sure, Greg, indirectly with quantitative tightening, interest rates are going to go up. So as long as they keep sprinkling their balance sheet all over the place or unwinding it and doing QT, quantitative tightening, yeah. So again, man, I hate, I don't want to sound like Eeyore. I have a lot of Jan 21s that I want green, right? They're in a hurt locker here, but we're doing some good words, selling upside calls and spreads and everything like that. So markets go up, folks. Markets go up. 9/11, the financial crisis, the pets.com implosion. I mean, you name it, we recover, right? We recover. But I got to be honest with you. The dude, the guy's going to raise interest rates. Janet Yellen should have raised rates. Ben Bernanke shouldn't have done what he done. Jerome Powell is showing up to the scene of an accident, and he's a really qualified doctor going, hey, here's what we need to do. And we're screaming at him. Don't cut my pants to put on a tourniquet. So I think we head lower. And whoever just asked if we're going to retest the 2,500 layer, would you buy SDS calls? The answer is yes. So let me show you. Actually, let me give you all the new potential new folks. So a lot of like really free trades. Tuesday, I said all of this stuff, and now after I didn't get to listen to the whole interview because I've been on with you guys, I would absolutely do this. We got long what? Some VIX calls and also a VXX bull put spread and what? We bought some SDS calls. Okay? So if you don't know what this is, let me take a look at SDS. SDS is the ProShares Ultra Short S&P 500. What the hell does that mean? It means, hey man, as the market goes down, this goes up. Over the past 2 weeks, the market has really gone up and SDS goes down. It went down where? To right here at the 50-day moving average and middle of that Keltner channel. What happened the last 3 times it hit there? Here, here, and here. We saw a pop, and a super pop. What are we going to see now? It's going to go. I don't think so. So whoever just asked that, the answer is yes. If you were in our Tuesday primary live trade brief, I took a look at buying 20 of the regular January 19 expiration 38.5 calls as a hedge in case I'm right and this thing rolls over. If this thing goes back and tests that 2,500, SDS is going to go through the roof. Okay, so the answer is yes. That is a great looking. If you're thinking about, you know what, man, I got some longs on that I want to protect, absolutely get some SDS on. Okay, I do think there's going to be a pullback in this market. To it, I'll say it again, guys. This is mom and pop and little lady in tennis shoe rally. This is not institutional buying here. Period. Institutional folks like I briefed you on are looking at, what did I brief you on up here? Backwardation. They're looking at the VIX going, wow, the VIX is pricing in a short-term shit show. And if you didn't know about me or listen to this brief, you'd just be buying and thinking it's going to do that. And you'd be wrong. If that happens, I'll eat my hat. What's that happen on? Has everybody noticed that the Trump President Xi phone call shit just doesn't work anymore? When was it? Like 4 months ago, guy walks out, just talked to Xi, good call, going to have a huge trade deal, awesome. Market had a rip your face off rally. Then what happened? About a week before the election, when it looks like he was going to, Republicans were going to lose the House, what'd he do? Just had a great call with Xi, going to have a huge trade deal. Market went, a little bit. Now, and when you lose me, you know it's bad. Now the dude comes out and says anything about China, I ignore it. The bluster, the Trump trade deal talk means nothing to me anymore. It's just, the Trump trying to prop the market up thing just doesn't work. Okay. There will be, if it's about getting a trade deal done, the president will get it done, period. If it's something other than that, like I briefed you on, he sent the USS McCampbell, a guided missile destroyer, right through the middle of the quote-unquote Chinese territorial waters. So a lot of stuff going on. Tim, it really is Trump fatigue. The dude, he's crying wolf with the trade deal. I will believe, now he's taken me to the point where I ain't going to believe anything until I see literally your ink and his ink on it. I will not do anything after that. So yeah, that was a very long answer to somebody's very short question about, hey, would you get some SDS on? The answer is yeah. So there's another free trade for potential new folks. But more importantly, yeah, look at that. On Tuesday, I briefed you that this ship went sailing right through the middle of Chinese contested waters. They got yelled at on the radio, and we're going to kill you. And all it takes is something to go bump in the night, guys. And as a former Navy guy who has a lot of buddies with stars on their shoulders, and I kind of get some good intel on the down low, this is the issue here, guys. Trade is, they're just smiling at us. They're coming to these meetings. They're smiling. They're going to throw us a bone every once in a while to make it look like they're doing something. That ain't, this ain't their, they could care less that some hairdresser in Shenzhen's, feeling the weight of this economy. They would rather sacrifice her than see this thing, though. How hard would we bump back, though? JW, I think the pullback, and we got about 2 minutes here. I think the pullback, if we do pull back, will be to retest at a minimum here, which is what? Look at this. We ran out of airspeed right at what? 2,500? 2,450? Bounce. I think we need to come back and retest 2,500. Ladies and gentlemen, we have earnings coming up next week. Look at next week, man. We're not even going to remember this webinar next week, right? We're going to be, where are we? Markets calendar. So let's go out to next week. Look at this. Look at all of these massive earnings. Really big come. Bank of America, BBT have got a lot of financials. We got some retailers. The techies start at about 3 weeks from now. There's a lot going on next week. And and let me close on this, guys, members, you guys can leave here once I close, and I'm just going to tell the potential new folks how they can take a test flight into TGO here. So, Harry, markets go down a hell of a lot faster than they go up, right? Absolutely agree with that. So I just don't feel, I mean, we got to remember this. Last earnings period was phenomenal. Only 25% of bad earnings companies said, ooh, China boogeyman. I think earnings are going to be a little softer than they were last time, and I think a hell of a lot more people are going to go China boogeyman. How can the market rally on that, folks? It just doesn't. Right? So yeah, I'm very, very glad that we got our bull put spreads on with VXX. Where's VXX? How's VXX doing today? I didn't look at it. There you go. Nice. We and what did I say? We put our bull put spread on where? Right there. Just like SDS, it hit the 50-day moving average here, and went through it a little bit here. And what happened? Pop, pop, super pop. Drop? No, come on, man. Pull this leg and plays jingle bells. So I am very happy with where we are positioned with our hedges and our portfolio. Hopefully that EWZ threads the needles. Had a bad bearish double vertical on Apple. Just did not expect a week after him saying the earth is ending for Apple, coming out and saying everything I said a week ago was bad. So we're going to debrief that one last week. But Apple bearish double vertical, huge swing and a miss. But look at this. Let's talk about this. Every time Apple in the past 3 months has gone out of the bottom of the Keltner channel, it's gone up. Bottom of the Keltner channel, kind of this. Bottom of the Keltner channel, up. Bottom of the Keltner channel, up. I don't see that. So bad bearish double vertical on me. I should have been, based on that guy's interview, I was stunned. I mean, it was shocking. Look at that gap down. And then it does this. So bad trade. We don't sit here at TGO and just talk about winning trades. We got losers, man. This was a losing trade out of me. Bad bearish double vertical. I assumed that it was going to do one of these and stay out of the Keltner channel. But even though it's a losing trade, man, look at this. There's no volume. There's no conviction to getting in Apple right now. Hedge funds unloaded the most of their Apple positions ever. I just showed you an article 2 days ago that Apple is the most unloved stock, right? And it ain't looking good. Apple ain't. I told you a year ago. 1 year ago, I said to get out of this thing. Last October, look at this. Down 16%. I said to get into Amazon instead, and we were right with that one. So, all right, guys, members, you guys are cleared off. I'll tell you what, if you're just joining us for the first time and you're coming, and members, I'll have the replay posted here in about 30 minutes once I get done talking with potential new folks. So you guys are cleared off. Have a great weekend. I'll see many of you for weekly options on Monday. For folks who are thinking about maybe, here's all you have to do, man. Just take a 7-day test flight. It's $38. I went out to dinner with my two sons last night. I think the glass of 1942 that I bought here in Fort Lauderdale was about $50. So for the price, for a cheaper than a glass of 1942 for 7 days, and at least take a test flight for the next week, man. You need to see what we're going to be doing with earnings next week. Earnings is just absolutely going to be interesting. I haven't been this fired up to be trading in ages. This is going to be very, very interesting. Am I going to be wrong? Are earnings going to be great? And nobody talks about China. Doubt it. And we'll show you how to hedge. You can, once you take this 7-day test flight, you can get in there and watch all the replays that we did this week. We do live trade briefs Monday through Thursday from 1 until, 2:30, depending on the which portfolio it is. You can get in there and watch everything that we did this week. The hedges we put on with volatility and the S&P 500. You can take a look at a CME iron condor that we put on. CME, it kind of recovered, but it's 17. What are we looking at? 170. Yeah, 179. So take a 2-week test flight, $38. I put the link in the chat box, or it's pretty easy to remember. All you need to do is head to go.topgunoptions.com/go flight. Just kind of like the movie Apollo 13, right? I'm go for flight. Go.topgunoptions.com/go flight. And for $38, you can get access to all of our live trade briefs. Okay. And like I said, once you get in here, get on the member site and start looking at the replays, right? Excuse me. Underneath member content, Take a look at our weekly options brief from Monday. Look at the primary live trade brief from Tuesday. You have and on each one of these, you scroll down to the bottom. There's all the trades. You scroll down to the bottom. There's the replay. So it's a video, right? So we everything's recorded here. You just click the replay and sit there and watch this stuff and get up to speed really quickly. Okay, trading's a form of combat, folks. Somebody's going to win, and somebody isn't. And Top Gun Options, I'm going to teach you to be on the right side of that trade. Okay, and it looks like the bull put spread that we put on is, yeah, looking good. EWZ bottomed out right here and hanging out. So going to be very interesting to see how EWZ ends up tomorrow. Does it fill this little gap right here, or does it hang? So hopefully it pins right around 42. That would be a beautiful right through the uprights trade. Make sure you manage this one if my members are still in here. And, if you're showing profits on either side of it, I'd go ahead and close that thing early. Okay. All right, folks, like I said, head to go.topgunoptions.com/go flight, $38. You're with us for a week. You're with us for a week. After that, I forget what it rebuilds at, $100, $200, whatever. It says it on the order form. Obviously, it's a trial. It's a test flight for $38, and then it rebuilds monthly. And then I guarantee you, after a couple months here, you're going to want to upgrade into an annual membership. Why? Because it's going to save you some coin. Okay? All right, guys, I got to run. Great session today. Had a great time this week. We had a lot of stuff going on, really good stuff. I hope to see you guys on Monday in the weekly options brief. So happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. God bless. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great day. And then I'll see many of my coaching clients here tomorrow on Friday. All right. Cheers. We'll see you.